Good morning, everybody. It's your buddy Choppadong. I am lead content editor and senior contributor and coach at DFSArmy.com, and I am coming to you on Thursday, preseason NFL Week 1. Now, I'm not going to dive in and teach you everything you need to know to win tonight because we have the coaches and we have the projections and the optimizer and everything inside DFS Army to do that for me, but I am going to show you a sneak peek of the page that should get you super, super excited about what we're going to do this year, all year long, with our coaching picks pages. And so you'll get a little bit of a sample there as far as who we might like and who we don't. Things will change a little bit before lock tonight. We've got discussions going on in our coaching rooms constantly, and there's an easy way to try us out for 5 days for $10. You head down there to the comment section, click the link, use the coupon code TRIAL, TRIAL, and you trigger yourself a basically 5-day test drive of DFS Army where we unlock absolutely everything to you. All sports, all tools, all coaching discussion, which is something we've never done before. And you can come in here. Now, I'm going to tell you on a small sample size, like 5 days, it gives you a taste of what we do. It doesn't really immerse you into the community to really give you a feel for how that might help improve your game, other than seeing that it is possible, seeing the responsiveness of the coaches, seeing the accessibility of the experts helping you dive into your game. I mean, if I show you really quickly here, not to get too off track automatically, but if I show you really quickly here into my little channel, the conversation that I'm having with Rob today has gone on and on and on, where he's asking me tons of questions about what he should play, maybe how to identify stacking in baseball, maybe how to focus on contest selection and things like that with some of his with his budget for the day. And I'm glad to help people. This is what I do. We've got Cash Keg, we've got CG, we've got Donuts and other coaches constantly doing the same thing, and you're going to find an interaction with one of us that you like. If you like bankroll management, contest selection, I'd probably be the guy to go to. I'll talk baseball, talk hockey, talk any sport really, but I'll tell you when I'm kind of feel like I'm knowledgeable about a sport, and I'll tell you when I'm not. And I'm not going to say that I'm not knowledgeable about NFL. I'm going to say I'm not knowledgeable about preseason NFL, and that's why I rely on our coaches over here, like Chris, who puts together these notes from all the QBs, RBs, running backs, wide receivers that he likes, and puts different confidence ratings, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. Should he use them in tournament? Should he use them in cash or GPP? Which way would he go with them? Detailed notes with a detailed rating on how much he actually really likes the guy and how much he expects him to put up points today. These are the types of notes that you're going to want when you're looking at preseason today. We've got the same thing for showdowns, for golf, every single round, 1, 2, 3, 4, every week. And we've even got different tools and different, we do it for baseball as well. It's not up yet today, but this is something that is very, very theme related and very, very quick and easy, efficient research for you when you're looking at joining a community like ours. And you can come in and you can question us about these picks if the detailed notes aren't detailed enough for you, or you see somebody else that you like that we maybe didn't mention. I mean, yeah, we're going to be like, hey, he's not on our list, so we don't like the guy today necessarily, but it doesn't mean we're not going to play the guy, or it doesn't mean we can't be convinced because we don't see everything that everybody else sees too. So that's where the debates start, and that's where the conversation really gets good in terms of, well, should I do a Boston stack today or should I do a Yankees stack today? Well, I mean, at least I'm not debating the White Sox facing a terrible pitcher versus the Yankees facing a fairly good pitcher. That's a pretty good debate. But if it's Boston versus Yankees, it's kind of going to be flip a coin if they're both facing bad pitchers. But we can look at all kinds of numbers. We can look at all kinds of splits. We can look at all kinds of things together and come up with a decision that might prioritize one over the other. Therefore, we would dig into that stack today. Now, personally, I like to make a couple of different lineups, and I would tell you I'd have a Boston stack and a Yankees stack today, and I don't care. Because if one of them does well, I've got them. I didn't have to choose between one or the other and leave another great option on the table. I don't like playing that way. I like to build, take my daily budget of say $100 instead of putting $100 on one lineup. I like putting, $30 on 3 lineups or something like that. And I play a little bit more of an upside game, not GPP, big prize, beat 20,000 people, but I play more of a 100-man league type of game. And that's been successful for me. Maybe you're a cash head-to-head player. Maybe you are a tournament player, but I think that we need to blend both together and create more of a hybrid type of situation, and that's what I tend to teach and coach. If that interests you, you need to click that link. You need to come in either on the trial or use coupon code CHOP, 20% off, and just trigger the full month and get in here for all of the preseason NFL and all of the NASCAR and all of the finishing month of baseball for me anyway, and really up your game, really improve your knowledge of daily fantasy sports and the fundamentals, because that's the stuff that we're trying to teach people. Yeah, we can all talk plays all day long, but what are you doing with those plays? That's the real question. So today, let's talk a little bit about starting lineups page in the baseball group. If I come down to the MLB page and we go to the starting lineups page down here, you can see the tools that we have: research station, carnage report, coaches picks page, etc. Then you're in hybrid scorings in the domination station itself. I've shown you that before. The starting lineups page is not one that I talk about much, but there's a couple of really key factors on there. You can see how pretty this thing has become. We're looking at the last 21-day two-handedness chart that is based on the projected lineups now. As the lineups fill in, they will confirm, and of course you'll have the current information. What you're looking at is salary information, batting order, of course. You're looking at an implied run total. Then you're looking down here at the starting pitcher, his DFSA grade. You've got DFSA grades on all of the hitters. So if you wanted to just see those in the 80 and above range, then you would only be looking at 3 or 4 bats per lineup typically, and those in good spots facing bad pitchers. Usually green is good, red is bad. So when I come across Carnage Report, it blends the Carnage Report in there. A low number in Carnage is good for the pitcher, but a high number in Carnage is bad for the pitcher, which means it's good for the opposing bats. Okay, so that's sort of how you're going to start reading these pages. You look at the Vegas odds. You can sift out strong odds, weak odds. You can do the same thing. You don't have K-score on this page, but you can find K-score. You can find Vegas odds. You can find opposing batting team, order WOBAs by, okay, he's a minus 127 favorite. I look over here at the team WOBA. It's got some red in it, so it's probably pretty weak. That means that German is probably in a decent spot, which is why he has a fairly okay K-score or Carnage number today. It's pretty simple, really. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. This is just another way to do it. What I'm looking for, last 21 days, what are the WOBAs of these Yankees? Because a high Carnage number, a high implied team total, and a low DFSA grade for this pitcher is telling me that the Yankees are in a good spot. So if I want the Yankees in my lineups, which Yankees do I want? I'm going to look here at the WOBA numbers. I'm going to see a 611 for LeMahieu and a 552 for Tauchman. If Tauchman is in the bottom of the order, it makes for a great little rat stack, which means that not many people are going to do that. They're going to focus on these top 3 or 4 or 5 hitters, and then all of a sudden, hello, they're missing out on one of these guys down here at the very bottom of the order. You can also look down here for value in some cases. 2,900 for Maven, 2,800 for Romine, 3,100 for Gardner. These would be your cheaper bats. This would be if you're torn between them and Boston, you want the higher Boston bats, then you might take the cheaper Yankee bats, or vice versa, but there aren't very many cheap Boston bats. The cheaper bats here in the low 3s and the high 2s are going to still be in the Yankees lineup. And you get a hotter one here that's spiking, and that's Tauchman, obviously, based on his 552 WOBA and the fantasy points he's put up. The other, you get ISO, K percentage, whatever, but the other big number in this particular tool is xWOBA. What is xWOBA? Well, xWOBA is expected WOBA. The way I look at it, and I know there's FIP and XFIP and all that stuff for pitching, but the way I look at it is you've got an ERA and you've got a Sierra, which is a skill independent, or whatever ERA, which tells me what he should be pitching to. Okay, it tells me he is pitching to a 3.5, but he should be pitching to a 4.5. That tells me that he is due to regress. If the ERA is 3.5 and the Sierra is 4.5, it tells me he is due to regress negatively, or for your bats, positively. It's due to regress in the direction that is going to give up some runs. Will it be tonight? Who knows? But it should be relatively soon, because the numbers he's pitching to is what he's going to gravitate towards, not what his actual results are, because we've got luck. We've got, line drives that get, make diving catches out of a shortstop, or we've got balls that, bounce off the wall and are only a double instead of, 6 inches higher and it would have been a home run. I mean, these are big fantasy point swings, but they also affect real life baseball stats as well. A ball that hooked 2 feet foul. I mean, it was a foul ball, and the next one he chops to the shortstop and grounds out, whereas 2 feet fair and it would have been a home run and would have cleared the bases and given him 3 RBIs in the process. I mean, for crying out loud, those big swings affect your statistics as well, whether it's a pitcher's ERA. If he gives up a lot of hard contact and a lot of line drives, that pitcher his SIERA is going to be higher than his ERA. If it's falling in a glove or he's hitting into the shift, then maybe it keeps his ERA a little bit lower, but generally speaking, he's going to eventually get caught. Okay, so that's what xWOBA does for bats. WOBA is what he's actually hitting at. It's actual WOBA. But xWOBA is what he should be hitting at using StatCast data, exit velo, launch angle, all these types of things showing you that in this particular case, LeMahieu's running hot. He's hitting a 611 right now WOBA, but he should only be hitting a 407. So you can look at this in two different ways. You can say, oh, he's due to cool off. Oh, he's not going to carry this 611 forever. And that's true. 611 is pretty unsustainable, honestly. And maybe that makes you think, well, he's probably a little bit overpriced and he's due to have some bad days. Maybe you're right. But maybe you're going to look over at and say, so maybe we say he's due to cool off. And maybe we think he's overpriced. But then again, maybe he's in a great matchup today, and this hot streak can continue because he's clearly running hot. So you can use this number in one of two ways, and I would encourage you to use it the same way most of the time, because that way at least you remove one of the moving variables in your process. If you say, well, today I'm going to play that they're all going to regress to the hot guys are going to cool off. Well, tomorrow I'm going to say, well, the hot streak's going to continue. No, now you're bouncing all over the damn place, and that doesn't help you out. If you typically view this number as hot hitters stay hot and cold hitters stay cold, then yes, you're going to miss some plays, but you're largely going to eliminate a lot of the volatility of guessing every single day and chasing your tail. If you said, well, this is overpriced and I want a bargain, and this isn't a bargain anymore, that's fine too. The other thing you might also say, though, is when you look at the 611 and look at the 407, it's go, well, 407 is still darn good. So what do I care if he cools off to a 407? That's still great. Correct. 414 is great results-wise. 474 would be a little bit better. So maybe Judge is due to heat up a little bit. You could look at this and say a 295 versus 389. Didi Gregorius is due for some good luck. And that's what leads you to the green positive differential, which is what a lot of people chase. A lot of people will say, I'm going to look for guys that are due to, get a little hotter. In that case, I'd be looking at these three bats right here. I'd be off of LeMahieu and be at these three bats right here. So really and truly, you look at this particular page, and there's a lot of sophistication within a very, very simple page. You can run over here to the starting pitchers, to BVP, catcher, first base, second base, shortstop, third base, outfield tabs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you can also just use this tab alone to scroll all the way down and say, okay, so a lot of the green in the WOBA and xWOBA and maybe the differential column. Okay, so Boston, a lot of positive ISO here. A lot of guys in the differential due to cool off. JD Martinez, 715 lately, should be hitting a 554. Okay, there's the debate again. Is he due to cool off? Probably, but is 554 still phenomenal? Yeah. So you look at the 694 implied run total versus the 571. You look at the carnage of no DFSA grade, no carnage of 473 versus the carnage of 565. Maybe you think that Pannoni's the worst pitcher and you're preferring Yankees. Or maybe you look at the bats and the no DFSA grade and say, well, maybe I prefer in the high IRT and say maybe it's Boston. That's what I'm saying. Between the two, you've got a debate. So I would personally make one lineup of each. But as I scroll down here, I'm looking for maybe team stacks. Like here in the WOBA category, KC has a few hot hitters. That's interesting. Detroit typically does not. And not only do they not, they're also due to cool off, even worse. Look down here, there's some decent hitters here in the Chicago Cubs lineup, and they're due to cool off. Their xWOBA is lower. So maybe I don't like the Cubs as much, even though they've got a decent implied run total over a 5 today. But maybe I like them in tournaments because they're in Cincinnati, which is a hitter's ballpark. I'd be focused on maybe Rizzo, Caratini, Almora, guys that are due to heat up. Although I don't like these numbers. He's due to heat up, but I mean, to what, a 267? Yuck. Right? This is just what I do when I scan through these pages. I look, Atlanta, running good. They're facing a very low DFSA grade pitcher with no carnage report. Tells me he's a new guy, And new guys maybe get feasted on by good bats. And when the good bats are running hot with not a great IRT, implied run total, but decent Vegas odds to win the game, maybe that's a tournament type of situation. Not as good a situation as the Yankees, not as good a situation as Boston, but maybe something that's kind of just below that first tier that we should look at for tournaments. Scroll down to Cleveland, 5.21. Not a lot of green here, but there is some. Could focus on a Lindor, a Ramirez, a Kipnis type. I could come over here, Minnesota, and look at their Kepler, Cruz, Sano types. I'd look for some positive if I could. Now, I don't really find a lot of positive differential here in the xwOBA numbers, but I do see some high ISO because they're hitting a lot of home runs this year. This might be a tournament type of situation as well. Because again, the 5.42 is not as good as New York, not as good as Boston, and their hitters are running about, so maybe they're down there with an Atlanta. But I look over at Clevenger, and Clevenger with the 4.87 carnage isn't terrible. It's a little bit bad, but it's not terrible. The 59 DFSA grade is up a little bit. I'd rather see somebody down in the 20s or 30s. So maybe that pushes Minnesota out. See, it's all these little things that you're factoring in and trying to check the boxes of, do I like this? Do I like this? Do I like this? Do I like this? And if the answer keeps popping up, yes, 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 then there you go. We used to do something last year with NFL, and I'll wrap with this. We used to do something called box checkers, which was, does the running back, is he favored in Vegas? Do they have a high implied total? Because if it's over a 20-something and they have, more than a 7 or 10-point spread, the game script favors him. Then we're also looking at how many touches does he average per game. Is it 18 to 20? Great. Does he touch the ball inside the 5-yard line? Great. Does he get a couple of receptions per game? Great. If he keeps checking off those boxes, then he is a very, very usable running back. Then I really determine whether or not I want to pay the salary for the guy. But I'm looking for those types of situations. Tight ends, do they catch the ball inside the 5? Do they see 7 or 8 targets per game? Again, are they at home? Because that actually makes a difference for tight ends. Are they favored in Vegas? Because that makes a difference in tight ends. So when I'm looking at those types of situations, I'm going, well, should I take a shot on this particular tight end? Does he check those boxes? Is he at home? Is he favored? Is he seeing the ball in the red zone? Is he seeing the ball inside the 5? If the answer is yes to most of those questions, then he's in play today. And then I've got my list shortened down, which is what I do with baseball too, shortened down to where I've cut off a lot of the scrubs. I don't even need to waste time digging into numbers of the schleps. And I'm focusing between Boston and New York like I am today. If this is the type of information, the type of knowledge that helps you out, click like, click subscribe. Obviously, consider becoming a VIP down there in the comment section. Use code CHOP, 20% off if you want to jump in straight away. Use the code TRIAL, TRIAL, if you want to trigger the 5-day $10 trial and give us a little test drive. Either one works. Get in here, ask questions, get the feedback that you deserve to show you that we can make you a better player. That's why the lineup leaderboards have our Army hats all over them right now, is because we take people like average Joe Blow and turn him into a better, more competitive player. And we can do the same thing for you. So hopefully I see you in here for NFL preseason week 1. Hopefully you've seen a little bit of a sample of what we offer, and hopefully you like what you see. Come on in, test this out. I would love to talk to you. So come on in.